Parshas Pinchas, Tafshin Ayin Tes. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe Rabbeinu that he has chosen a leader to enter into the next generation, someone to take the place of Moshe Rabbeinu. Kach l'cho es Yoshua ben Nun, ish asher ruach bo, v'samachta es yodcha olav. Take Yoshua, a man of spirit, and put your hands on him. Rashi explains this term, putting his hands on Yoshua, in the following way: Tein lo miturgemin, sheyidrosh b'chayecha, shelo yomru olav, lo haya lo loharim rosh, b'mei Moshe. Set Yoshua up that he should be able to give a shear now, during the lifetime of Moshe Rabbeinu, so that no one will be able to say about him later that he was not able to raise his head, he was not able to give a shear, he was not able to say Chidushay Torah while his Rebbe Moshe was still alive. Only after Moshe's death was he able to begin producing, was he able to begin telling people the Torah. Who knows if he's right? Who knows if his Rebbe really would approve of him? Therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu was told by Hashem, have Yeshua begin saying Shi'urim now. Otherwise, this Lashon Hara about Yehoshua would always, forever, dampen his leadership. And I was wondering, after Moshe Rabbeinu, and in actuality HaKadosh Baruch Hu, appointed Yehoshua as the Memale Makom of Moshe Rabbeinu, what is there to be worried about? That people are going to say he was afraid to talk up while Moshe was still alive? Could such Lashon Hara really have a powerful effect? Many years ago, in the summer of either 2003 or 2004, I had the schus of spending some time in Camp Avram Chaim Heller with Harav Yosef Tendler, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, the late Menahel of the Mechina, the high school of Ner Yisrael in Baltimore. We had, Baruch Hashem, a very good relationship and used to take walks where we would discuss chinuch issues, where I learned a tremendous amount from his 50 years or so of experience in chinuch. And I asked him this question on the Rashi, and he told me at first that Rav Pam Zichron Livracha once explained why Hashem was not worried about leitzonei hador, people who would make fun, when it came to na'aseh adam. When Hashem said, let us make man, which could be interpreted terribly, as if there are multiple deities. In that situation, Hashem was not worried about leitzonei hador, and did not combat possible leitzonei hador. On the other hand, Rav Pam pointed out, when it came to Avram and Yitzchak, they were very afraid. Hashem was very afraid of the leitzonei hador, who would talk about who was the real father of Yitzchak, and therefore made Yitzchak look like Avram Avinu. Why was it, asked Rav Pam, that Hashem was only worried about leitzonei hador by Avram and Yitzchak, and not when it came to Nase Adam? And Rav Pam answered, when it comes to apikorsus, eventually it falls apart. But when it comes to Lashon Hara can be everlasting and ever damaging. So Rav Tendler explained to me, when it comes to the Lashon Hara of Yehoshua, to say that he maybe wasn't such a big lamdan, really couldn't learn so well. Now he says shiurim, after his Rebbe can't watch him in action. Such Lashon Hara, even after Yehoshua was handpicked, could hurt him, even many decades in the future. And Rav Tendler illustrated this beautifully with an incredible story that I don't believe I ever told publicly in the shul, that happened to him personally. There was a boy who had gone to Ner Yisrael's Mechina, and in 1995 he was getting married. Friends from the Mir Yeshiva in Eretz Yisrael heard rumors that the girl he was engaged to was a mamzeres. They did not tell anything to the boy. They went to Rav Elyashiv and asked what should they do. He inquired who's the Mesader Kedushin. When he heard it was Rav Yosef Tendler, whose son-in-law Rav Yaakov Friedman, a chashuv Rosh Yeshiva in Eretz Yisrael, who at the time was leading a chabur in the Mir Yeshiva, he heard it was Rav Tendler. Rav Elyashiv said, let me speak to Rav Yaakov Friedman and see if he could talk to his shver. And that's what happened. He said Rav Tendler should investigate the situation. So Rav Tendler called the Khilah's Beis Yaakov principal, who had also heard such rumors, and told Rav Tendler to call a particular Hasidic Rebbe who knew more about the situation. Rav Tendler called the Rebbe, who told the following story. The Khilah's grandparents were liberated from concentration camps, and the grandfather, unfortunately, did not want to be frum anymore. The grandmother did, and therefore she insisted on a get. Begrudgingly, the grandfather of the Khilah gave the grandmother of the Khilah a get. Shortly thereafter, the grandmother remarried and became pregnant with the mother of the Khilah. This was around 1950. In revenge, the grandfather spread rumors that the get that he gave his former wife was given after her second marriage. And therefore the baby, the mother of our Khilah, was a mamzeres. The grandfather spread these rumors in spite and in hate. The Hasidic Rav investigated the situation. He had gotten involved when the Khilah was applying to elementary school around 1980. And this Hasidic Rav called the Budapest Beis Din, which was involved with the Gunas after the war. And after he spoke to all three, at that time, 1980, elderly Dayanim from around 1949-1950, all three Dayanim remembered being misader this get and then dancing at her wedding because she came from a famous Hungarian family. They would never have danced at the wedding if the get had not yet been given. Therefore, clearly, all was kedasu kedin. This Khilah's mother was not a mamzeres. It was pure lashon hara motzi shemra. The Hasidic Rav got the documentation necessary about the get and the kedusha from the Budapest Beis Din in 1980, and then in 1995, upon the inquiry of Rav Tendler, he faxed it to him, and Rav Tendler put this information into this boy's high school folder. Rav Tendler was confident there was no problem with the marriage, and he was Mesader Kedushin, only telling the Chosin this story after the Sheva Brachas, so that it would not chasom ruin the shidduch out of unfounded fear. 7 years later, in 2002, the Chosin calls Rav Tendler. The rumors had started again about the mamzerus in his wife's family. He had a child applying to elementary school. They wouldn't take the child because of these rumors. Rav Tendler went to the high school office, took the information about the get and the kedushin out of the folder, faxed it to the young man, and solved the problem. It's amazing how lashon hara rears its ugly head 50 years later. You see what lashon hara can do. Therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was worried about lashon hara, about Avram and Yitzchak, and Hashem was worried about lashon hara, about Yoshua. As the 3 weeks begin, and we recall how Sinas Chinom, which leads to lashon hara, caused the Churban Bayis Sheni. Let us be mechazik ourselves in this inyan. Wishing a good Shabbos to all of you in Brooklyn, the bungalows, and beyond.